Have you ever felt like talking only makes things worse? You try to explain, defend, or justify yourself, but somehow it just leads to more misunderstandings and conflict. C.S. Lewis said it best, "Don't waste words on people who deserve your silence." Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence isn't weakness. It's your strongest weapon to protect your heart and fight spiritual battles. In life, you'll meet people who twist your words, misunderstand you on purpose, and even use your vulnerability against you. Jesus warned us about this in Matthew 7:6. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. He wasn't talking about literal dogs and pigs. He was describing people who can't appreciate what's holy and valuable, people who might turn your words against you. When you're dealing with someone under the influence of darkness, someone battling inner demons, you're not just speaking to a person, you're facing every dark force working through them. And here's the truth. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not everyone deserves your explanation. In today's message, I'll show you why silence is your most powerful shield when dealing with people who are influenced by negativity or spiritual darkness. You'll learn how silence protects your inner peace and strength, how it helps you guard the spiritual authority God has given you, why staying silent isn't about giving up, but about trusting God to fight the real battle for you. Let's dive in, because this lesson will not only change how you communicate, but also how you navigate a world filled with hidden battles. Does this speak to your heart? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear your story. Have you ever tried to share something meaningful with someone, only to have it dismissed, twisted, or even used against you? It's frustrating, isn't it? Sometimes the best way to protect your peace and the gifts God has given you is to simply stay silent. Here's the reality. Not everyone in your life operates in the light. Some people are influenced by forces of darkness, whether it's negativity, bitterness, or even spiritual deception. And no matter how much you explain, defend, or share your heart, they'll misunderstand you, trample your words, and use them to hurt you. Jesus knew this truth. That's why he gave us the wisdom of silence. Silence isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about protecting the sacred. Your peace, your energy, and the revelations God has given you are pearls of great value. Sharing them with the wrong people can leave you drained, discouraged, and vulnerable. Jesus said, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs." This isn't about judgment or exclusion. It's about discernment. He's teaching us that some people's hearts are not ready to receive the truth or the blessings you carry. Sharing something holy with them is like throwing pearls into the mud. When your words, wisdom, or vulnerability are met with resistance, mockery, or manipulation, it's a sign to step back and be silent. Not everyone can recognize the value of what God has entrusted to you. It's important to understand that not every battle is visible. Some people are influenced by spiritual forces that distort their perceptions and actions. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." When you engage with someone who is not operating under God's light, you're not just talking to a person, you're contending with every force of darkness influencing them. Explaining yourself in these situations is like shouting into the wind. It drains your strength and opens the door for further attack. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. By staying silent, you protect what is sacred. You refuse to let negativity distort or devalue the gifts God has given you. Silence keeps your heart safe and preserves your energy for the battles that truly matter. Think of it this way. Your peace, your calling, and your spiritual insights are treasures. They are meant to be cherished and shared with those who can appreciate and nurture them, not with those who will trample on them. Silence is more than just the absence of words. It's a shield. It's your way of saying, I trust God to handle this. When you choose silence, you're choosing to protect your heart, guard your faith, and honor the sacred pearls God has entrusted to you. And in a world full of noise, that's a powerful and courageous act of faith. Let's look at Mary Magdalene's story. In Luke 8:2, we learn that before she was set free by Jesus, Mary was possessed by 7 demons. Think about that for a second. 7 different spirits, each with its own personality, agenda, and influence, all working within one person. When someone spoke to Mary, they weren't just speaking to her. They were engaging with all those entities operating in her life. Imagine the confusion, frustration, and futility anyone would feel trying to reason with her in that state. It's a powerful reminder. When someone's words, actions, or attitudes feel impossibly difficult to deal with, there's often more at play than meets the eye. Spiritual forces can manipulate people's thoughts and behaviors, twisting situations into something far more destructive than they would be on their own. Here's what this means for you and me. We're not fighting people. We're fighting spiritual battles. If this resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to Daily Soul Blessings for more life-changing insights. Together, let's grow stronger in faith, uncover truth, and walk confidently in the love of Christ. That rude co-worker, that family member who never seems to listen, or that friend who constantly misunderstands you, they're not the enemy. When we waste our energy fighting people, we're fighting the wrong battle, and the real enemy, spiritual darkness, goes unchecked. But when you shift your perspective and realize the true nature of the battle, everything changes. You stop taking things so personally. You stop getting so hurt by someone's words or actions because you understand that it's not just about them. You stop trying to win arguments or prove your point, and instead, you redirect your energy to the battles that really matter, the spiritual ones. When you grasp this truth, it frees you. Instead of feeling exhausted and defeated after every interaction, you can let go of the need to fight every fight. You can respond with grace, pray with purpose, and trust God to handle the spiritual forces at work. C.S. Lewis once said, "There are 2 equal and opposite errors into which our race can fall about the devils. One is to disbelieve in their existence. The other is to believe and to feel an excessive and unhealthy interest in them." We don't need to fear these spiritual battles, but we do need to discern them. And when we understand that our true fight is with spiritual powers, not people, we can focus our energy where it truly counts. So next time you're in a conflict, pause and remember, this isn't about winning an argument or changing someone's mind. This is about standing firm in God's truth, trusting His power, and fighting the right battles with the right weapons. Have you ever wondered how Jesus handled confrontation? He didn't argue, justify, or defend Himself, not even when facing the forces of evil. In Mark 1:25, Jesus encountered a man possessed by a demon. The demon tried to provoke Him, saying, What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us?" Now, Jesus could have debated, He could have explained His mission or made a point, but what did He do? He simply said, "Be quiet. Come out of him." Jesus didn't entertain the demon. He didn't give it space to manipulate or twist the situation. He silenced it with authority. This moment shows us something profound. Silence can be far more powerful than words. Here's what we need to understand. The enemy doesn't know everything. Unlike God, who is all-knowing, Satan and his forces are limited. They gather information through observation and through the words we speak. When we engage in arguments, justify our actions, or over-explain ourselves, we're giving the enemy ammunition. Every word we say can be twisted, used against us, or amplified to cause confusion and pain. Think about this. Have you ever had a conversation where the more you talked, the worse it got? The more you explained, the more misunderstood you felt. That's not just frustrating, it's a trap. The enemy thrives on chaos and division, and our words can inadvertently fuel the fire. The lesson is simple but powerful. Not every battle requires a response. Jesus shows us that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When faced with opposition, he didn't waste his energy defending himself to those who couldn't understand his purpose. He chose his words carefully, and sometimes he chose not to speak at all. For us, this means we don't need to explain ourselves to everyone, especially to those influenced by negativity, darkness, or even spiritual forces. Some people are not ready to hear the truth you carry. Others may twist your words or use them against you. In these situations, silence is not only protective, but also empowering. When you stay silent, you guard your heart and mind from unnecessary turmoil. You avoid the emotional exhaustion that comes from trying to be understood by those who refuse to listen. Silence allows you to maintain your dignity and spiritual authority. Jesus didn't let the demon drag him into a pointless exchange. He spoke with clarity and authority, and his words carried weight because he wasn't trying to prove himself. When we choose silence, we're essentially saying, God, I trust you to handle this. We step back and allow him to work on our behalf. This kind of surrender is not giving up. It's an act of faith. Thank you for watching, dear friends. If you've enjoyed this, kindly like the video and subscribe for more. Next time you face opposition, whether it's a toxic conversation, a misunderstanding, or outright hostility, pause before you speak. Ask yourself, does this person truly want to understand, or are they looking to argue? Will my words bring clarity, or will they add fuel to the fire? Am I speaking from a place of peace, or from a need to defend myself? Like Jesus, you can choose silence. When you stay silent, you protect your peace and authority, refusing to give the enemy any advantage. Declare in your heart, God will protect me. Think about this. Much of the emotional and mental exhaustion you feel may come from fighting the wrong battles. You've been defending yourself to those who don't deserve your explanations and engaging in arguments God never called you to fight. If the enemy can't stop you from fighting, he'll distract you with the wrong fights, arguing with people instead of confronting the spiritual forces at work. And when you fight the wrong battles, you step out of God's protection and provision. Take the Garden of Eden as an example. God gave Adam and Eve a clear command. Do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for you will surely die. Yet the serpent engaged Eve in a conversation, and the moment she began explaining herself, she opened the door to deception. The same principle applies today. When you waste your words explaining yourself to the enemy, whether a demonic spirit or someone under its influence, you risk being pulled into a battle you were never meant to fight. As C.S. Lewis wisely said, we must remember that Satan has his strategy, and we must not be ignorant of his devices. If he cannot make us sin, he will keep us busy defending ourselves. Don't fall into that trap. Recognize the real enemy, silence the noise, and focus on the spiritual battle that truly matters. Have you ever shared something precious? A dream, an idea, or a spiritual insight, believing it would be cherished, only to have it dismissed or misunderstood? It's a feeling that cuts deeply, doesn't it? You open your heart, hoping to connect, but instead you're met with ridicule or rejection. It can leave you wondering if you should have shared it at all. Jesus understood this experience, and he gave us timeless wisdom to protect our hearts. In Matthew 7:6, he said, Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. At first glance, these words may seem harsh, but Jesus wasn't being cruel. He was describing a profound spiritual truth. Not everyone is ready to appreciate what is holy. Some things are simply too valuable to be shared carelessly. Your pearls aren't physical treasures. They are the sacred gifts God has placed in your life. Your peace, that deep sense of calm that anchors you in a chaotic world. Your wisdom, refined through years of faith, experience, and God's guidance. Your calling, the unique purpose God has written for your life. These gifts are beautiful, rare, and deeply personal. They are meant to be nurtured and shared with care. But when you offer these sacred treasures to the wrong people, those who don't understand or value them, you risk seeing them dismissed, mocked, or even weaponized against you. Have you ever poured your heart out to someone, trusting they'd understand, only to have them twist your words or use your vulnerability against you? Or perhaps you've shared a powerful revelation from God, only to have it met with doubt or ridicule. That's what happens when we cast our pearls before swine. Jesus used the metaphor of pearls to highlight how precious and holy these gifts are. Just as pearls are formed through patience and care, the treasures God gives us are meant to be cherished, not carelessly thrown into the hands of those who cannot appreciate them. When shared with the wrong people. 1. Your pearls might be trampled. People who don't understand the value of your gifts may dismiss them as insignificant or treat them with disregard. 2. They might turn and attack you. Worse, they could use what you've shared to hurt you, whether through gossip, manipulation, or undermining your faith. This isn't just disheartening. It can leave you feeling drained, questioning the worth of the gifts God has entrusted to you. If this message spoke to your heart, subscribe for more truths that bring light to dark places. Don't forget to share this message with someone who might need it. Together, let's spread God's truth and light to a world in need. So, what's the lesson? Guard what is sacred. 1. Discern who is ready for your pearls. Not everyone can receive the truth, wisdom, or peace you carry. Some hearts are hardened, distracted, or consumed by their own struggles. Ask yourself, is this person prepared to handle what I'm about to share? 2. Know when to stay silent. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is hold onto your pearls until God reveals the right time and person to share them with. 3. Trust God to reveal the truth. You don't have to convince everyone of the value of your gifts. Trust that God will open the right hearts and protect you from those who won't understand. Jesus modeled this perfectly. He shared profound truths with his disciples, who were ready to learn, but often chose silence when facing those who were unwilling or unable to receive his message. As C.S. Lewis beautifully said, "Never make a principle out of your experience. Let God be as original with other people as he is with you. Your journey, your gifts, and your calling are unique. Not everyone will understand them, and that's okay. What matters is that you honor what God has entrusted to you and share it with those who will truly value it. So the next time you feel tempted to cast your pearls before the crowd, pause. Take a moment to discern. Because when you guard your pearls, you're not just protecting yourself, you're honoring the sacred gifts God has given you. Let's be honest. Silence can feel uncomfortable, can't it? In a world where we're constantly encouraged to speak up, defend ourselves, and prove our worth, choosing to stay silent can seem like giving up. But the truth is, silence isn't weakness. Silence is strength. When you choose silence, you're making a powerful statement of trust. You're saying, God, I believe you can fight this battle better than I can. Silence isn't passive. It's an active declaration of faith. It's about protecting your peace, preserving your energy, and letting God take control of the fight. One of the most profound examples of the power of silence is found in the story of Jesus before Pilate. Picture the scene. Jesus is falsely accused, standing before a man who holds his earthly fate in his hands. Pilate asks, "Don't you hear the charges they are bringing against you?" Matthew 27:14. Jesus, the Son of God, who would have spoken with authority and silenced every accusation, chose to say nothing. He didn't argue, defend himself, or try to explain his mission. Why? Because Pilate wasn't spiritually prepared to understand who Jesus was or why he came. In that moment, Jesus demonstrated an incredible truth. Not every battle needs to be fought with words. His silence wasn't defeat. It was trust. Jesus trusted the Father's plan, knowing that he didn't need to justify himself to someone who wouldn't understand. When you stay silent in the face of accusations, misunderstandings, or negativity, you shield your heart from unnecessary turmoil. You avoid being dragged into arguments that drain your energy and steal your focus. It takes strength to stay quiet when you're tempted to defend yourself. By choosing silence, you conserve your energy for the battles that truly matter, the spiritual ones. When you choose not to engage in every conflict, you're saying, "God, I trust you to handle this." You're stepping back so that God can step in, and you're allowing him to fight on your behalf. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, "If Satan cannot make us sin, he will keep us busy defending ourselves." Silence helps you avoid this trap, keeping your focus on God's plan rather than wasting energy on distractions. Choosing silence is not avoiding the battle, it's fighting it God's way. Think of it as stepping out of the boxing ring so that God can take over. You're not surrendering to your circumstances, you're surrendering to God's will. This kind of silence isn't about giving up, it's about giving in to God's power. It's saying, "Lord, you know my heart, you see the truth. I trust you to defend me in ways that my words never could." How to practice silence in your life. 1. Pause before speaking. When faced with criticism or conflict, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will my words bring peace or escalate the situation? If the answer points toward conflict, choose silence. 2. Pray instead of arguing. Use the time you would have spent defending yourself to pray. Ask God for wisdom, strength, and clarity. Let him guide your steps and fight your battles. 3. Trust God's timing. Sometimes the truth doesn't need to be spoken immediately. Trust that God will reveal it in his perfect timing and rest in the knowledge that he sees and understands everything. Silence is not about weakness or avoidance. It's about wisdom and trust. It's a way to say, "I don't need to fight this battle on my own, because God is fighting for me." When you choose silence, you're following the example of Jesus, who showed us that sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. So the next time you feel the urge to defend yourself, remember, silence isn't losing. It's letting God win for you. I'd love your support by liking, subscribing, and commenting with Amen. Your support helps spread God's message, allowing his love and light to reach more hearts. Have you ever been in a conversation where, instead of truly listening, you were just waiting for your turn to talk? It's something we've all done. But here's the thing. When we're focused on what we want to say, we miss what's really happening. Silence, on the other hand, allows us to step back and listen. Truly listen. It gives us space to observe, reflect, and discern the motivations of others. Are their words coming from a place of love, fear, or even manipulation? When we pause, we start to see the bigger picture, and that's where discernment begins. Proverbs 17:28 says, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." Sometimes, holding back your words can reveal more about a situation than speaking ever could. There's something sacred about silence. It's in those quiet moments that the Holy Spirit often speaks the loudest. When we stop talking and start listening, to others, to the situation, and most importantly to God, we open ourselves up to deeper insight. Think about the times when you've felt confused, overwhelmed, or unsure of what to do. How often have the answers come, not in the noise, but in the stillness? God whispers in the quiet. He uses moments of silence to reveal truths we might miss in the chaos. Jesus himself modeled this. Throughout his ministry, he often withdrew to solitary places to pray and be silent. Why? Because silence creates space for clarity, focus, and guidance. When we embrace silence, we're not just giving ourselves a break, we're giving God room to speak. When you choose to remain silent, you give yourself time to process, pray, and discern. Instead of reacting in the moment, you respond with wisdom. Silence doesn't mean passivity. It's an active choice to seek God's guidance before acting or speaking. So the next time you're tempted to fill the silence with words, pause, listen to what others are truly saying. More importantly, listen for what God might be saying through the stillness, because in silence there's wisdom, in silence there's clarity, and in silence there's God. As we've explored, silence is far more than the absence of words. It's a powerful tool in spiritual battles, a shield that guards your heart, and a declaration of trust in God. When you choose silence, you're not stepping back in fear, you're stepping forward in faith. Silence allows you to pause, protect your peace, and let God take control of the fight. Remember, you don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Not every battle is yours to fight, and not every argument needs your words. Instead, trust that God sees, hears, and understands everything. He is your defender, and when you stay silent, you create space for him to work in ways you never could on your own. If you're facing conflict, misunderstanding, or spiritual opposition, take heart. You're not alone, and you don't have to carry this burden by yourself. The Bible reminds us in Exodus 14:14, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." So when the noise of the world grows louder and you feel the pull to defend or explain yourself, pause. Let God step in. Trust that in your silence, he's working to protect, guide, and bring victory in his perfect timing. As Isaiah 30:15 says, "In quietness and trust is your strength." May you find peace in knowing that God is always with you, and may his wisdom guide your every step. Be blessed, stay strong, and walk confidently in the journey of faith ahead. You are not alone. God is fighting for you. If this message has touched you, consider liking this video and subscribing to join our journey. Each like, each subscription helps us reach more hearts with his word, and together we can make a difference. Thank you for being here, and may God's light guide you today and always